Hey everybody, it's Stan, back with a new video here. Um, First of all, I have a lot in this video. I'm going to try to just do a few key videos and put them back on this channel. This video, to cover everything in this topic, might be several videos, so watch out for part 1, part 2, part 3. We'll see how far this goes. I got like 15 minutes per video, so but before I get into it, I just want to make a comment. I did have quite a few videos out there. Some of you have asked me what happened to them and why did they disappear and all that. So first of all, just a quick apology for removing them all. I will try to add back the most relevant information. Again, my goal all the time has been to just point people in a better direction so that they can realize maybe their symptoms are from heavy metals or toxicity. We've all been led down so many paths out there with different people, professionals, non-professionals, telling us what's wrong with us. It's very hard to sort out, and I just try to break that down simply so people can realize, this symptom or that symptom actually might be from heavy metals or mercury or whatever. So that's my main reason for taking the videos down, in a sense. The other thing kind of related is, this topic, like I say here, is very, very sensitive to me. People do die from this illness. Poor advice and poor protocols or use of protocols, or the suicidal thoughts that mercury causes. That's all fact out there, okay? I've been in these different groups for about 6 years, reading thousands and thousands and thousands of people's situations and responding and talking and suggesting and all that kind of stuff. A few people have approached me for help. A few of them were very, very sick. I could not really even help them. I could tell when I'm talking to them that no matter what I said, they were going to do something else. And I kept cautioning them, don't, be careful, don't do that. Don't go too hard with that. Don't go too fast. And then, well, somebody told me to do this. Well, maybe that person shouldn't have told you to do that. That's the problem with this, is everybody's trying to help each other, but you have to be very, very careful what we tell somebody to do, especially when they have a mercury toxic brain. Sometimes saying we don't know something is the best answer. And also, like I said here, when we're mercury toxic, we can't think or rationalize or comprehend very well. So somebody will say to do a very simple task, and the person may do something totally different. So you got to be, very cautious. I got the wrong word here. Okay, in how we help each other with information, and I do take it very, very seriously. Okay, just want to send some prayers out to everybody that's dealing with this. Mostly those who don't have good support, which seems to be a very common situation with people that are mercury toxic. So this video is all about symptoms, and almost every symptom that I list here, I can say I had. Okay, you're going to go through the list and say, "Oh my God, like that's crazy! How can anybody have all those symptoms?" But that's the reality of mercury and the heavy metal situation. So these symptoms can be any one of them or any group of them. It's rarely that anybody has all of these at any one time. They may vary in intensity day to day, week to week, month to month. There are some basic symptoms most of us seem to have in common, but in my opinion, there's no specific rules that this toxicity mercury follows, okay? I think a lot of people get confused and expect that, oh, I've been diagnosed with this, or I have this, so therefore these must be my symptoms. It's kind of like all these other illnesses and diseases that doctors tell us we have, and then they give you what the symptoms are. And everybody expects the same thing with this, but to me, that's not really how it works. It depends on our detox ability and our level or mix of level of toxins that we have in us, in as far as how we're going to feel and how we're going to respond. So if you ask anyone who is struggling to get well if they have amalgams and they eat seafood, and maybe their mom had amalgams, they were exposed at work somehow, live near toxic areas, they maybe have tattoos, and have any of these symptoms, it's a good start as to what might be the root cause as to why you have all these symptoms. Okay, hopefully that makes some sense. The first steps to look into and try to confirm before you go too far when you're suspecting symptoms and mercury or amalgams or whatever is to get a hair test done. You can get the test done online. You don't need a doctor. Holistic Heal, I think it's called Holistic Hair. Can't remember which one it is. I should have put the link there. Is a place many of us use. The point I want to make, though, with that is the levels, in my opinion, are pretty much irrelevant. A mix of metals will cause an unknown synergy. You can look up Dr. Boyd Haley, who speaks on that topic. Every one of us is different as far as what level is going to affect us, how much of a level, how much of a mix of different metals and levels. So the problem I see out there a lot is people will be in groups saying, I'm not heavy metal toxic because my levels were low and my doctor said my levels are low. Okay, well, my levels were all low. A lot of times your levels can be low because if you did do a hair test, you're not excreting the metals. It's not coming out of your body normally. And that runs into MTHFR, which is a genetic, they say, thing that affects a lot of different things, but mainly our ability to detox, and affects glutathione levels. I found out I had MTHFR. I had one of the worst variations of it, so I detoxed very poorly. Probably why I got as messed up as I did. What I'm finding lately is a lot of people, for a while different groups are saying MTHFR is bogus, it's nothing, don't worry about it. Well, now we're finding out that if you try to do certain protocols and you don't address MTHFR, which has to do with your certain detox pathways, as they call it, being blocked or not being clear, you have a very rough time trying to detox. And some people have even been damaged by it. I mean, I talk to people that feel they've been damaged by trying to do different protocols when they didn't address MTHFR. That's why I have these things under the very first steps to look into and confirm. Look into other toxicities. I mean, to me, these things are all related lately. You see it out there all over: mycotoxins, mold, Lyme, Wi-Fi radiation. Look into all that kind of stuff, not just heavy metals, to make sure you know what you're dealing with. That you're dealing with all the information you possibly can have about yourself. I can't tell you how many people approach me about stuff and they just ignore the MTHFR. And I honestly will not proceed with anybody even trying to help them until they address that, because it's almost like you're running a car on a 6-cylinder car, and you've got 2 cylinders not working, and you're going to try to make the car go faster and fix other things. You got to get to the root cause. Okay, that's my main thing all the time. Some people have said, well, I ask, do you eat seafood? And they'll say, well, I only eat tuna like once a week, not very much. Well, even a bit of tuna or any seafood weekly is too much when you're already toxic. Generally speaking, I believe all seafood, like all water, is tainted to some degree. I say these things based on experience and fact. I'm not just making this stuff up. I reacted to trace mercury that was in a fish oil supplement. I didn't know why every time I took the supplement I felt like crap. Okay, then somebody in a group told me, well, it's probably the trace mercury that's in it. And if you think about it, again, I have an engineering background. There's no such thing as a perfect filter. So in my opinion, how do they make perfect supplements? Yeah, they say they're highly reputable and high quality and all that, but when you get right down to it, the water everywhere. I do know that water, for instance, was recently tested near me, and it had like 40 or 50 parts per trillion mercury in it. Okay, does parts per trillion affect you or me or someone else? Do we know? So those are the things I think about when I look at this kind of stuff. So those are kind of some key things to look into. Don't overlook it. Don't assume that it's okay to eat tuna or fish or seafood. Don't discard the fact that there's mercury in things, even in small amounts, that could make you feel bad. When I was toxic, I couldn't do any of that stuff. Now I'll admit I'll eat a fish every now and then, So, so symptoms. I got some general thoughts here. How people get sick and how they feel. This whole illness coming on, to call it something like an illness. Early on, when the toxic levels are starting to affect us, we feel like maybe we have the flu all the time, or a cold, or under the weather. We might notice that we have food sensitivity starting. Not all the time, some of the time, we might notice we have low energy. It's hard to get up in the morning. Chronic colds, chronic sinus, aches and pains start happening more. I ached more when I was in my 30s, and I'm 60 now. I don't feel any aches now, really. I'm all kind of detoxed. We start having more digestive issues, and we blame it on everything under the sun. We start having things break out in our skin, and again, we blame it on, I have eczema, I have psoriasis, I have this, I have that. We don't think about the root cause. We kind of discard it because we're also getting older. All of this started picking up for me when I was in my late 20s into my 30s, and by the time I was 40, I was about, I don't know if I can continue on. That's kind of the progression. So it doesn't happen overnight. It could happen overnight to you. It's all depending on how we all are. So some of what I'm saying might be not relevant to you, but it's a slow progression, okay? My feeling is it gets worse as our immune and detox systems just can't handle that load anymore. And it's also related to how mercury interacts with us, okay? Mercury tends to store in us. So I'm going to say that right now. Tends to hold itself in us. It's a strange phenomenon about mercury. So, you can't really detox mercury when you have amalgams. That's why they say get rid of the amalgams. People try to with the amalgams in, which we don't recommend. Maybe that'll be another video. But you got to be very, very careful. You got to get all the amalgam out. Otherwise, your body senses that you still got exposure, and it won't dump what it's being stored. Okay, so these are kind of like anomalies about mercury. It can get worse very, very fast once we hit a tipping point. So that's something to be very aware of. You don't want to get to that tipping point. It kind of goes exponentially once you hit that point. Very, very fast, you can, just can't recover anymore. And some people get bedridden. Some people can hardly get through the work day. Some people get hit hard and are off work for a few weeks, and then maybe a few months. And then they go to their doctor, and their doctor tells them they have all these other issues and all these, nice medical terms for the symptoms, but very rarely will they look into heavy metals, okay? When you find yourself going to multiple doctors and they all find nothing, or they tell you it's all in your head, or there is no cure to what you have, or you have a disease, or you have some whatever, that can be a sign that the root cause is really heavy metals, okay? The doctor may also test improperly for metals. A lot of them do a blood test. The blood test is not the right way to do it. A blood test won't see what's stored in you. It'll only see what's currently in your blood. If it's already been through your blood and filtered out, or your body's filtering it out at a pretty good rate, then it might not show up in your blood. You also might be told from that blood test, your levels were such and such, but they're low. Well, if you're showing heavy metals or mercury in your blood, that's not a good thing. That means you're being exposed. That means the exposure was recent. And that's a problem, okay? I'm getting close to the 15-minute point. I'm going to put a mark here so I don't forget where I ended. And I will pick this up in video number 2 related to symptoms. And as you can see, lots of symptoms and lots to talk about.